Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mike King Biz Radio Show. I am April Wyett, and I am here filling in for Mike as he and fellow hounds are heading off to Podfest to have a great time over there and collaborate and lead. So without further ado, I'm going to run the intro for the Hounds of Business, and then we'll get into it to chat with Victoria Vespico. I know I didn't say your name right, but I apologize. And we'll talk about leading with purpose. So here we go. And this is what the Hounds is all about too, is leading with purpose.
Looks like your business might be in a bit of a pickle. Don't you worry about a thing. You ain't alone in this. You're just a success story waiting to happen. Trust me on that. Every bump in the road is just an opportunity wearing a clever disguise. Welcome to the Hounds of Business community, where we don't just sit around twiddling our thumbs. Nope. We turn those obstacles into mighty fine stepping stones. This here's a place where high-level entrepreneurs and sharp professionals gather to grow their businesses and mindsets, kind of like how a good old gumbo needs the right ingredients to be something special. Ideas thrive here, and collaborations, well, they're as natural as sweet tea on a hot day. Success, it's a journey, and we're fixing to walk that road right beside you. Now, don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn for all the latest tips and insights. We're talking about the kind of wisdom that'll keep you ahead of the game. And while you're at it, head on over to our YouTube channel. We've got ourselves a treasure trove of videos, from expert interviews to webinars, everything you need to stay sharp in this fast-moving world of business. The Hounds of Business community? Well, we ain't just a network, we're a movement. So why not come on and be part of something bigger? Join us today and let's turn your business journey into a real Southern success story. Together, we'll achieve greatness, just like crawfish and singing on a Friday night.
That's so good. I never get tired of that. Well, let's bring up Victoria. Hello, Victoria. Welcome in.
Hello. Thank you guys so much for having me. I am thrilled to be with you guys once again.
Of course. Yeah, you were on the Hounds of Business year-end event, and that was amazing, wasn't it?
It was just truly incredible to see so many inspiring community members from across the United States coming together to talk about successes throughout the year, big lessons we learned, and just celebrating coming into 2026.
Exactly. I can't believe that it's already the new year and so many things coming up, I'm sure, for you, which you'll share later on in our conversation here. But before we talk about, the titles, platforms, that beautiful crown that you have on your head, I just want to pause here and ask you, because my business is living with intention. And it's really about, you just didn't wake up one day and that crown was on your head, right? So each day when you get up, what intentions are you setting, or commitments do you make for yourself? It's so important.
So for me, every single day of my life has been spent wanting to do one goal, and that is to make the world a better place. So I like to tell this story that when I was 5 years old, I became a Girl Scout. And if you're not familiar, when you're a Girl Scout, you take an oath before every single one of your meetings, and the oath ends with saying to make the world a better place. And I didn't realize then how something so simple was going to impact me on a grander scale. But now I have the unique opportunity to spend every day educating people about sustainability, and how through simple changes, we all have the opportunity not only to make our own worlds better, but the world around us.
Exactly. And just that simple, as 5 years old, that really makes an impact of making that commitment and that oath. Can you even recollect that oath right now? I'm putting you on the spot totally.
The Girl Scout. So on my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law. And the Girl Scout law is, I will do my best to be considerate and caring, courageous and strong, responsible for what I say and do, respect myself and others, respect authority, use resources wisely, live every day, be a sister to every Girl Scout, and make the world a better place.
Congratulations. Good job.
After many, many years of saying that, it's like glued behind my eyes.
Exactly. And that's what that inspiration is for each and every one of us, right? As we are looking for things to really culminate our professional lives and our personal lives, right? To lead with those qualities in our life. That's resonated with you throughout your entire life and until you probably leave this earth, right? Those memories, that commitment and dedication to the Scouts.
Absolutely. Yeah, my scouting years have carried well beyond my active years. I worked for Girl Scouts, I did internships with Girl Scouts, and now I have the opportunity to partner with them through my community service initiative. Sustainability starts with you.
Mm. Yeah, and that really does shine through. It
Thank
really
you.
does. And, as people look at you, right, as Miss Pennsylvania, and they assume that confidence just automatically comes through. I'm just curious, what do they not see? The pressures and the responsibilities that comes with that role.
That's a great question. So one of the things I'm always very forward about this job is this is a made up job. I mean, being Miss Pennsylvania is an incredible opportunity. Being a part of the Miss America opportunity and promoting this organization and what it does to help support women is a once in a lifetime opportunity, a once in a lifetime job, but it's also made up, right? So I was living my mission of trying to impact the world around me long before I ever had a crown and sash to call my own. And so my mission of making the world a better place, of impacting people around me, on educating people about sustainability will live on even if the job of Miss Pennsylvania isn't around. So there's a lot about it that is stressful and it's an exhausting position to be in, but as demanding as it is, it's also equally, if not more, rewarding. So to be able to go out there and see people light up when they see Miss Pennsylvania, it really does remind me of how important this role isn't just for me, but to the people who get to watch me do it.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's you just showing up as who you are. I just see you as that 5-year-old scout, right? And leading the way and learning about leadership in that process too. That's a very young age, and it takes a lot of responsibility, doesn't it? It's not about the recognition. So where did that understanding of what responsibility meant, come into your life? Where was that responsibility stemmed from at such a
So I
young
think Yeah, absolutely. I think it's multifold. So when I first started Girl Scouts, I had a completely different troop leader. She was a wonderful mother of a girl I had grown up with. And after about our first year, she was like, I can't do this. I just don't have the time for it. I can't make the commitment. And my mom, who is, for lack of better terms, the most badass woman I've ever met in my entire life, really kind of looked at it. And this troop leader previously said, someone can either take over this job or there's not going to be a troop next year. And my mom, who already had a million commitments, she was on our PTA. She worked as a full-time nurse night shift. So she was already on a wildly different schedule than everybody else in the world. She stepped up and said, well, I want this opportunity to exist for my daughter and for the girls around her. So I'm going to take on this position of leadership. So I have watched my entire life as my mom led with grace and with poise and with purpose through everything that she did to make sure that there were opportunities available for me and my brother. And those values just have stuck with me. That's a big part of when I talk about sustainability, is not just for our environment, but the sustainability of the programs that exist in the world. Because if my mom hadn't stepped up to make sure that Girl Scouts was available to me, I probably wouldn't necessarily care about stepping up to make sure other opportunities are available for people. So it was really watching that behavior be modeled by the women in my life, and especially my mother.
Mm. It's so true, isn't it? When we have those role models in our lives that really make that impact, to watch your mom, sacrifice her time and energy so that way you and fellow troop members, still kept that community going, kept that, aliveness happening there. That really is an impact with community, and just as you said, it brings it back to sustainability. As she showed up and shined, that is also shining through you now.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
But
my mom always said anyone can do the ordinary, but only you can do the extraordinary. And I try to live every day with that motto of knowing that you can go the extra mile, you can take the extra step because somebody else might not have the access, ability, or the willingness to do so.
yeah, yes. And it talks about also having that purpose, having that drive to show up, to see that bigger picture of how this is rippling out, how this is connecting with the community, starting with your troops, starting with the, environment, the people, everything that you are connecting with that has that purpose, that drive. So that brings me to what is purpose? What's that definition for you? And has it changed over your lifetime, that purpose?
I don't know that I would say my purpose has necessarily changed. If anything, it has evolved. So when I first started competing in the Miss America opportunity, my original community service initiative when I was 13 years old was called It's Cool to Be Kind. And it was this idea of encouraging young people to get involved within community service.
Mm.
And it was just incredibly important to me. Like I said, I watched my mom make sacrifices to make things available to me. She raised me and my brother to be community stewards and to want to give back to the community around us and support it and all of the different initiatives that exist throughout it. And so for me, my big mission was to not only be doing the work, but to be able to show how easy it was to access that work, to get more people involved in it. So as I got older and I started to develop my own values and interests, I really became interested in our environment. I really became interested in agriculture. I was a dairy farmer for a while. And so I adopted this new level of stewardship, not just for our environment, but for our farmers, for our food. I learned more about food insecurity, and I was able to see how so much of what I had done as a child and the values and the organizations I'd been involved with really touched a multitude of facets throughout life. And then I learned about sustainability. And more importantly, I learned about the United Nations and their 17 Sustainable Development Goals and how each of those goals are so wildly different because not everybody agrees that our environment is the most important cause that we need to work on. But everyone can agree that there are changes that need to be made on an economic level, on a social and human level, and an environmental level to not just sustain human life, but to improve the quality of life for our global population. So as I got older, it really evolved more from just community service to national and international community impact on how each of us has passions and powers, and each of us have our own purpose and how to take those purposes to create that active change as a community.
Mm-hmm. And I really, really appreciate how you brought forward that different countries, different communities, right? What sustainability looks like for them can be vastly different.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I mean, talking about here in the United States, I mean, we talk about sustainability from an environmental standpoint. That's where my baseline usually is. But when you talk about sustainability from a human standpoint, you're thinking about access to education. You're thinking about access to clean, safe food and water to drink. You're talking about fighting food insecurity on a community, statewide, and national level. And it all does tie back to our environment. Me and my friends discuss all of the time how the biggest product that you will find at a landfill is food waste. And how crazy is it to think that we cannot feed all of the people just within our own country, let alone around the world, because so much of the product that we create is put to waste. So something as simple as seeing how sustainability touches all facets of life and recognizing how your own focuses and of course like your country's focus need to be so centered about what is most important to you community-wise, regionally, nationally, and internationally, because talking about sustainability here in the United States is very different than when you would be talking about it in places like South Africa or the Middle East, because our access to different resources is wildly different. And it really does just change the global perspective, I think, when you can look at how important it is to recognize that not everybody does have the same values because not everybody is given the same baseline to work from.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and it is true for us to understand our differences and how we can support each other too for sustainability. I really, really love that, and how
Thank
you're passionate. I could hear it and feel it in your being. You're very passionate about this.
you.
And before we continue further, I just need to shout out to Mike King and allowing us to be here with the Hounds of Business, me subbing in for Mike Asherbranner. If you're tuning in now and you're like, who is this person? I'm subbing in for Mike as he's on his way to PodFest. And we're just very grateful that Mike King has this platform here, the Biz Radio on ESPN, RVA on 106.1 FM. So thank you for tuning in and listening as we are continuing our talk with Victoria, who is Miss Pennsylvania. And we're talking about leadership and purpose. And she shared some pretty amazing aspects of her own, just as a 5-year-old self, and starting with that first pledge to the Girl Scouts and how she learned about leadership. And so as we're talking about that and moving more into what's happening now as you have stepped onto this platform and you're utilizing this in a very productive and purposeful way, what is happening now in your leadership role? What's coming forward for you?
Yeah, so like I said before, Miss Pennsylvania is a very unique position, but both through my role as Miss Pennsylvania, and of course, just as my role as a sustainable development advocate and educator, I've had the really awesome opportunity in the last few months to address our national lawmakers to talk about what we can be doing to impact global sustainability and really sustainability on a local level. I think that impacting the world really is the end goal, but it all starts small. So I've had the unique opportunity to address the EPA, the Department of Agriculture, and of course, members of our National Congress to talk about what we can be doing to be better stewards of our environment, what we can be doing to impact education and create access for students to not only be stewards of our environment, but to get better, more accessible information about what it means to be sustainable while also supporting our educators. Before I was Miss Pennsylvania, I was a teacher. And so I know firsthand what it is like to be sitting in the classroom where you have the best of intentions and the lack of resources to be able to reach your students properly. And so I'm incredibly passionate about continuing my efforts long after I'm Miss Pennsylvania to create a difference where we're creating access. We are protecting those resources, both naturally and the ones that exist to better our social and humane issues in terms of sustainability.
Yes. And you said you're an educator. My background in my family, both sides are teachers. So I completely hear what you're saying about the lack of resources. And it's so important because it does start in the school systems. And I love how that you're bringing this forward and you're even writing books, right? You wrote a book. The title of your book is, oh my goodness, it escaped my mind, but it has to do with cows.
So I actually authored 3 children's books. So my very first children's book was called Cows Are More Than Milk, and it was inspired by my time being a dairy farmer and an educator on a dairy farm to show young people. Basically, through the program I was a part of, I got to not only raise dairy cattle, but I was able to participate in these educational programs, teaching young people, teaching classrooms, Girl Scout troops, preschools and elementary schools about the process of how our dairy comes to be and what happens to the cows afterwards, which can be a really sad and scary topic for many people. But luckily, I worked on Northeastern Pennsylvania's foremost sustainable dairy farm, and we participated in a land restoration program. So I was watching all of these students come in and just talk about milk and talk about how milk becomes ice cream and milk becomes coffee creamer and how I love to drink milk and milk. And I thought that's great, but cows are so much more than just the milk that they produce. Yes, there's beef and that's wonderful. And there's all of that, but it's even more than just the consumable products that we get from milk. I said, did you know that cows can actually be a part of why we have healthy and clean land that we can grow our crops on? And so I was really inspired by this idea of what else exists in the world that we think only has one purpose. And then broadening it beyond that, we all think we only have one purpose. People talk about oh, you're Miss Pennsylvania. That must be the most glamorous job in the world. And I'm like, it is, but I'm also an educator, and I'm also this, and I'm also that. And I'm more than just a woman wearing a crown and sash. So I was really inspired by the idea of people being more than the role that they've been assigned. So cows that were more than milk really is to be educational in a way, but also to have that underlying message of you're more than whatever title you've been given. My second book was called Bring a Bucket. I did a 6-month fellowship with Girl Scouts of Southeast Florida in about, I think it was like 2023. I can't even remember. Time goes by way too quickly nowadays. But while I was there, every single weekend, I would go to the beach with family, and I would spend all of my time when I wasn't sunbathing or I wasn't in the water, walking the beach and collecting plastic. And one of the things I noticed that the beaches in South Florida offered were these big buckets with holes in them so the sand could filter through.
Yes.
It gave people a resource to be able to go and walk the beach and pick up plastic and garbage and waste while they're out there, giving them an opportunity to be an environmental steward while they're enjoying their day in the sun. And so I was really inspired by this idea of having access, or even not having access, but having knowledge to what you could do to have an impact on the world around you. So my second book was called Bring a Bucket, and it's all about, participating in cleanups, taking an active role in protecting our environment. And then my third and most recent children's book, which I actually published, I think 6 weeks before I became Miss Pennsylvania, which was such a whirlwind to think of how short of a timeline that was. But it's called Sustainability Starts With You, and it's named after my community service initiative in my education program. And it teaches about the 17 Sustainable Development Goals through a fun poem, and shows that sustainability is something that is a global solution. And every single person in the world has the opportunity to do one simple, small thing to make our global population more successful.
Yes, exactly. It just starts with one person. And, Mike Asherbrenner, he must be on his phone as he's traveling, shared about how his little one, gives him trash all the time. So he starts carrying a bag. And that's how we teach, right? You writing those books, you planting seeds, because you never know how far that's going to take, how far that's going to go. And it's a habit, right? So our beliefs start with a habit, with a thought. And then when we understand the impact it has, as you're perfectly describing, Victoria, the impact globally, and being stewards of the land, being stewards of the community in our educational system, that's where the ripples come out. And that's very purposeful and intentional work. And thank you for being that person, and tooting your own horn too. It's really important, not in an egoic way, but to say, hey, there's more to cows than just milk. Let's think about this. They're living beings here. And how are we treating them? And how is that coming full circle to us? It's an ecosystem. And so I just want to show, for those who are watching, if you're listening to the Mike King Biz Radio, please tune in to the Hounds of Business YouTube video so you can see this. But I'm going to just add here about, this, you, Miss Pennsylvania, and what you're doing. And there's something about the bells. Can you share more about the Miss Pennsylvania bells? What is that about?
Absolutely. So if you're ever on the Miss PA website, you're going to see probably 2 different things about bells. So Miss Pennsylvania Bells is our little sister program. So the Miss America opportunity has what's called Miss America's Little Sisters, and our bells are our call to that. And it's essentially an opportunity where young girls, not quite young women, but young girls who are interested in either participating in the Miss America opportunity one day, or who are through some other way wanting to be involved, can come and join us on the Miss Pennsylvania stage. So it's a really unique opportunity for us to build out our sisterhood. It existed in a very different way when I was younger and I had absolutely no idea about it. I got involved in Miss America because I was a Girl Scout and because I did theater and dance and all of these other things. But it really opens an avenue for young girls to see that there is an opportunity within the Miss America organization for them to be a part of it, and gives them that stepping stone to participate. So I was actually really lucky. One of my students, her name is Phoebe. She came to Miss Pennsylvania as my Miss Pennsylvania Belle, and we got to spend an awesome, like truly incredible week together. Phoebe's the sweetest. And she got to be there when I won. And it was a very strange moment of, I think, for me, knowing this is one of my students, this is somebody that I taught. And I know that she has shared the same way. It's so weird watching Miss V, like, be Miss Pennsylvania, but it's like the coolest kind of weird. And so I got to share that with one of my students. And then she ended up coming to Miss America with me and got to watch me compete for Miss America and meet our Miss America at the time and meet our new Miss America, Cassie Donegan. And it was this moment where she really turned around and said, I want to do this one day. Like, I want to be able to impact the world around me. I want to do the things that you're doing, because it all started with, I became an educator because I was coming into schools and talking about sustainability and running my sustainability program with them. I ended up picking up a subbing position, a long-term subbing position at her school. We happened to dance in the same studio, so we knew each other. But then I was her teacher. And she was like, well, Miss V does this weird thing. And I've watched Miss V talk about sustainability. Like, I'm going to come with her. And it's this full circle thing where she got involved because I happened to be coming to her school to talk about sustainability. And it's just the best opportunity. The other bells that you see, if anyone can see on the screen, we also have an incredible partnership with America 250 PA, who is Pennsylvania's commission preparing for our semi-quincentennial in July. And so I was a volunteer with them for many, many years before I became Miss Pennsylvania. Our organizations ended up partnering together as of last year, and it just kind of worked out that I had been a volunteer with them for so long, and then I was a staff member with them, and then I was Miss Pennsylvania. And my job has touched many, many weird spots throughout my life, but it's always kind of cool to see how full circle it was. And you spoke earlier about purpose, and I feel like so much of what I've done, when I look back, I see all these like blaring lights that say you will be Miss Pennsylvania, and then you will be something more than that later on. And I look back at all these times when I think, you know, I never pictured myself in this role, but it only made sense that this is where we got to. And I so look forward to everything that's going to come after this, because this job has opened so many doors as well. And ultimately, my goal at the end of the day is to continue the work I've been doing to try to educate people on how we can make the world a better place.
Yes. And that brings me to, again, how you are tapped in with the Kindness Worldwide movement as well. So that's also how I met you, through Kevin Smith. And so we just have about 30 seconds here before we have to leave, but give us a little bit more about the Kindness Worldwide and your role in that, because that is leading with purpose as well.
Absolutely. So I have the unique opportunity to serve as an ambassador for Kindness Worldwide. I'm Pennsylvania's ambassador, and it's just such an awesome way to be able to show how a simple act of kindness can really change the world. If people aren't familiar with Kevin Smith and Kindness Worldwide, I implore you to go learn about his story, because it's just truly inspiring. And I think it showed so much about how my mission and Kevin's mission overlapped, where I show how through simple changes we can, you know, take that action to make the world a better place. And he's showing how kindness really does create a ripple effect to inspire people to create change. And it's a beautiful marriage of two, I think, like-minded people who are really passionate about making the world a better place. And I'm so excited to be the first Miss Pennsylvania to serve in that ambassador role. I look forward to serving on that ambassador role well afterwards, but I'm excited to welcome our next Miss Pennsylvania into that same position.
Oh, I love, again, coming full circle. This is what sustainability is about, leaving a legacy and just leveling it up just a little bit more, right? As you're going through it, whether it's the education system, whether it is writing your books, Kindness Worldwide movement, everywhere you're touching is really creating those ripples. And I'm so grateful that you were able to be here with us today, Victoria. Any last words of encouragement for anyone listening about leading with purpose?
Absolutely. Everyone here has the power to create positive change. I'll leave you with this. This is my favorite little proverb. It's an African proverb. No one knows who said it, but the idea is if you ever think you're too small to make a difference, try being alone in a room with a mosquito. And so I tell my students that all the time because you have the opportunity. We all know what it's like to be bitten by a mosquito. Nobody wants it. But think about how small a mosquito is compared to the expanse of where you are. You have the opportunity to be the mosquito, that small little voice that creates that buzzing in somebody's ears and might make them go, oh my God, I want nothing to do with that. But it might also make them buy more into the story that you're telling. So I tell all my students, go home, be a mosquito. So to everyone listening, go out, create simple changes, and go be a mosquito.
Oh, wow. I absolutely love that. It is so perfect. Because yes, having that little, going around, although I also look at mosquitoes as they serve a purpose too, right? We wouldn't have the frogs, the dragonflies and all of that, and again, here we go, right? Global sustainability, what that looks like and how everybody contributes to it. So yes, go be a mosquito. Love that. And you're getting some love from the Hounds and other people have chimed in here today. So thank you again, Victoria. You are amazing. Keep shining your light. And thank you, Mike King, Biz Radio, for hosting us, and the Hounds of Business, and Mike Ashbranner for making this possible. Keep shining your light. And thank you again, Victoria. It was wonderful hosting you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Be well.
Thank y'all for stopping by. Be sure to follow, share, and like, and send me a message if you had fun today. Y'all come back now.